Hello, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. Question came my way to talk a little bit about eye health. Why do we have problem with eyesight? Why is eyesight deteriorating with age? And if we can do anything to prevent this. And if you ask a medical professional, ophthalmologist, basically they will tell you, well, yeah, you can kind of guard it, you know, wear shades, protect yourself from the sunlight, and do not spend too much time behind the screens, computers, televisions, the lighting, you know, lighting that destroys your eyes. You know. Well, so in which way do ophthalmologists help us? Well, they diagnose the problem. And there is usually one of those things, either short-sightedness, far-sightedness, or something preventing the light to go through, either optic nerve damage or damage of the eye lens, cornea. And once when it's diagnosed, now we know exactly what it is. Here are your glasses or eye drops. And healing, don't ask, never ever ask doctor for healing, because doctors are trained the other way, to cause the problem, to make it worse. And this is where drugs come in. This is where eye drops come in when we talk about eyes. This is where glasses come in. So, why do we have eyesight problems? And now you can see them. But when I was a kid, there was one girl that had eyeglasses because she couldn't see well. Now you look at kids, 50% of them almost have glasses or contact lenses. Again, we go to the same old as I'm always talking about. No, I'm not ophthalmologist, but I'm a common sense observer. And what are causing these problems? For example, let's take myopia as an example. What is myopia? Myopia is when you don't see in a distance. Why? Well, we have a lens. Eye lens is this bag that is filled with plasma. It's with a gel. This gel is very well hydrated protein. You can call it even very well hydrated collagen tissue. And there are muscles connected to the cell, to the eye lens. And when you want to see in distance, the focal point has to be adjusted. And it is being brought closer by stretching the lens. So the lens thins out and projects further the image. So this way you can actually zero focus on far objects. As the object becomes closer and closer and closer, now the focal point has to be readjusted. So the lens have to be roundish. So the muscles relax. And when they relax, the natural state, perfect state of eye lens is to be a round ball. Now, sometimes, even when muscles relax completely, the lens does not return back to this round ball. It remains elongated slightly, which means the focal point cannot be achieved on a close objects. Now, when we have myopia, it could be problem with the eye lens itself, that it has become more rigid. So now muscles cannot stretch it because it's rigid, it's more fibrous. Or what happened is that the eyeball can become elongated. And even though proper adjustment of the eye lens is being done and you are correctly focusing, but the focal point in the back of the eye where the projection has to be achieved has moved back. So now you cannot correct it anymore with the eye lens. Your mechanism cannot do it, so you have to put reading lenses or contact lens that will change the focal point for you and push it further back. Now, what makes this eyeball to elongate? Well, the eyeball, again, connective tissue, but then you have, on the front of it, you have the lens and muscles, and you have the cornea. And so this is kind of structure. And if you start increasing the pressure, inner pressure of the eyeball, then as it wants to expand, well, it cannot expand equally because up front you have this lens and stuff. So as it expands, it actually grows in an egg shape, elongates. Of course, in this case, as it elongates, now the pressure, the focusing point is staying behind, short of reaching the focal point. So, increased pressure, eye pressure, may cause myopia. And then we have another situation called hyperopia, where you are short-sighted. So, I mean, you can see close, but you cannot see on distance. Now, in this way, if you can see close up, it means your eye lens can relax sufficiently. But sometimes this may not be the case. Your eye lens still cannot relax properly. It's staying slightly elongated. But what has happened, that the focal point, the back of the eye, has come closer. Now, which means the eyeball became elongated in the other direction. Now, how could that be? Before it was this way, and now it is this way. Like egg this way, and now egg this way. Because again, in front of the eye you have the all the muscles and eyelids, which are kind of rigid, semi-rigid structure. So now as the eye pressure diminishes and the eyeball would shrink, well, it cannot shrink in front so much as it can shrink the rest of it. So it actually brings itself back together and elongates in this way. So high blood pressure, high eye pressure elongates the eyeball this way, and low blood pressure, low eye pressure elongates it in this way. Okay? So even though the eye lens still stays a little bit stretched, it cannot completely get around it because it got more fibrous. But the back of the eye has moved forward, so you can focus on close, but you cannot focus on distance. Even then you can stretch now properly or better your eye lens, so you should be able to see in the distance. But because the eye wall from the back has pushed forward, you don't focus correctly. Again, eye lenses are being used to correct this. Why eye lenses? Why don't we heal the damn thing? Well, because doctors are not trained to heal anything. And they are very, very comfortable with what they do. They make money, and they think they're experts. So what is happening in these cases, and why is the eyeball changing shapes, and why is the eye lens becoming more fibrous? Because it all depends on hydration. If you have a problem with the capillary system, because remember, eye is being supplied by lymph, because it has to have clear liquid. It cannot have too much dirt in there because it will impede the vision. When you see floaters, well, a lot of floaters is just air, but there could be also debris floating in there, and it may it may prevent you to see clearly. So there is no debris in there, and so that is more difficult to have debris in there. The eye is being supplied with lymphatic system, very small capillaries where there is not much debris that can go through it. But because they are small capillaries, when they get dehydrated and they tighten even further, well, they can have a problem with passing lymph through them. And usually what happens is that the lymph that is coming has a slightly higher pressure than the lymph that is going out from the eye. So if there is a constriction happening, because the capillaries are very dry, remember, dry cells that form the capillaries, they flatten down, they become more rigid, and the volume of the capillary diminishes. They squeeze, they shrink. Dry fruit shrinks, so does the capillaries. And if there is a smaller pressure from the lymph coming out of the eye, which means the pressure of the eye is going to be increasing until it is strong enough to push in the lymph out of the eye. And this increased pressure may elongate the eye socket. So Why this happens? Well, I have just explained, dehydration. Again, we are talking about dehydration on cellular level. People complain, oh, my eyes are dry, so they get drops, eye drops, okay? Put eye drop when the eye is dry. The hydration comes from within, so you have to allow hydration to come. But how can you allow the hydration to come in when you are told not to have salt and to eat veggies? So this is the problem. And the more polluted is the blood, the more polluted is lymph. Remember, there is no such a thing as a separate lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is a part of a regular circulatory system. Lymph that we are talking about is what came out of the blood, because as blood is going into from aorta to smaller arteries to miniature arteries to capillaries, well, it's just all of a sudden when it hits capillaries, it cannot anymore pass a red blood cell. So what comes through, we call blood. Without red blood cells, we call it lymph. But it's still the damn blood. And it goes through because now bigger particles, and a lot of toxins are bigger particles, so it cannot penetrate. So this is cleaner liquid. We are calling it sewer system of the body. Only idiots call it sewer system of the body. It's not true. Of course, the lymph that is leaving the cells, it goes through lymphatic vessels before it merges back into the blood. And that part of the lymph is dirtier, of course, because it's coming from dirty cells. But it's definitely not sewer system. So as you dehydrate on a cellular level, your whole body is going to experience problems. I explained when your muscles are dehydrating, they become brittle. They lose tension. Okay, so hernia can happen easily. Aneurysm, which is herniated artery. Varicose veins, herniated veins. Okay, and as eye goes, well, you have problems here with change of eye blood pressure because of deteriorating circulatory system. So capillary system is very fragile, and the only way to bring it back up is by hydrating the body, which means giving it plasma, water with minerals, water with not refined, not iodized sea salt, or diluted seawater, which is the optimal. If you live near sea, go for it. Just filter the water with paper filter and try not to take it from the surface, because usually the garbage is on the surface, the fat floating is on the surface. So here goes the idea of a flor de mar, which is the salt which is being picked from the surface of the seawater when it's being dehydrated, saying that this is the cleanest because on the bottom you have the sludge. Well, it's not really true. We invent things without thinking. Partial knowledge is always the most dangerous. So, when you start having problem with eyesight, forget about sunglasses. Start hydrating and watch what you eat, because toxins will prevent cellular hydration. So even though you are drinking plasma, if you are ingesting something that your cells deem to be toxic, they will not hydrate. They will stay in a closed mode. They don't want the stuff in. And the usual suspects are caffeine, nicotine, and alcohol, and medicinal remedy, garlic. Okay, those four things. And what do we see? People that eat a lot of garlic, people that drink alcohol, and people that smoke, they have problem with eyesight more than others. Why? Cellular dehydration. Those are all cellular poisons. And cells will refuse to hydrate when they are in present, doesn't matter in what quantity. When they are detected in the blood, cells close down. Secondhand smoke will affect you same as if you are a smoker. As far as cellular hydration goes, not on other levels. There's always, some say, well, secondary smoke is even more dangerous. This is nonsense. This is idiot talking. But it will affect you on cellular level, which means it's a timely process. So where do we see who has most problems with eyes? As we get older, we develop these problems. When I was 47, all of a sudden, it happened overnight. All of a sudden, I could not see well in a cabin my chart. I had to put light on. Day before, I didn't have to. So when I reached St. Martin, went to check my eyes, and bingo, I was out with glasses. Well, this was when I was 47. I'm now 66, and I don't wear glasses because I have healed my eyes. I have stopped the progress of this thing. Ophthalmologists screw you up even further by giving you glasses, because your brain becomes lazy and stops focusing. It lets your glasses do the job. So your vision deteriorates faster. And in the first place, you were not helped because you were not told to hydrate and to change your diet. But of course, nobody can tell you what to eat because nobody really knows. Everything what we are being told is lie. So nutritionists are the worst people to ask. Doctors, same. So where are you going to learn how to eat correctly? So you go to alternative sites, and then you go into these freaking vegetarians. Well, things are changing. We are waking up to the truth. So as the eye dehydrates, you have a problem with focusing. Your eye lens is getting stiffer and stiffer because it's getting dehydrated until it all of a sudden goes into fibrotic state, which we call cataract. Because now the collagen fibers of the connective tissue, the protein starts showing up because it's dry like a prune. And we are being told, oh, it's a freaking UV light. It has nothing to do with any UV light. It's all about hydration. Now, people asking, will self-healer protocol help this problem? Any of those? Yes, it will, but keep in mind that when you are dehydrated, a lot of garbage is being left in your connective tissue. It was pushed in the periphery, so it is not remaining in the blood because toxicity of the blood disturbs the electroconductivity and disturbs the functioning of the body and creates all these problems like pain, headaches, joint pain, on the other side, detoxifying, getting rid of this, because body is geared to cleanse itself. So every time when the cleansing occurs, then since you are highly toxic on a circulatory level, so you go with sniffles, phlegm, diarrhea, nausea, muscle pain, joint pain, and we call it flu. There is nothing causing it other than your own toxicity. And the cleansing is being triggered. It's being triggered by sudden change of the environment. Fear often triggers it. Now, when you start hydrating, when you start following self-healer's protocol, as the level of plasma is increasing in your circulation, your blood volume is increasing, so it is like a river after rain that starts rising and starts getting all this garbage from the shore back into it. So this way, our blood during this hydration period is increasing in its own toxicity. And when the level of plasma is high enough that body does not feel obliged to hold the water, it goes into cleansing mode. And it starts cleansing and throwing this garbage out. And as soon as it becomes less toxic, then the cells start relaxing their membranes because now they are living in cleaner environments. So they start taking a deep breath. And as they do that, well, they start oozing their own toxins back out and it goes into the blood, increasing the blood toxicity again. Since the eye problems were caused by toxicity of the blood and lymph to begin with, and still the cells are dehydrated, passages are narrow, it's difficult flow of plasma and lymph and even blood. So we are having these water retentions, but also this can create even worse problems with your vision. And it was reported to me many times, well, I'm doing this and my eyes are getting worse, I can see less and less, and I've done it. Well, unfortunately, you are starting this process very late. The more toxic you are, the more damaged you are already from the dehydration, the more symptoms you are going to have, and stronger symptoms during cleansing and hydration. So first you go through the phase of everything deteriorating and being worse until stuff gets cleaned up. So it's a process. And, you know, some people blame me that plasma hydration made their eyes worse and they had to go to the doctor and then they had surgery. Well, patience. Things don't happen overnight, especially when lymphatic system is involved, because again, the circulation is much slower, which means the hydration and the cleansing is much slower when we are talking about organs that depend on lymphatic system. Eyes, nerves, brain, ears, even heart. We all think, oh, heart, blood vessel, it's all good. A heart has to be protected from toxic blood. So actually it has very elaborate lymphatic net around it, which actually feeds the heart muscle. This we are discovering now, little by little. So the healing of these organs is slower, but they heal. I witnessed some of my clients healing heart area, healing a heart valve, healing vein valves, varicose veins, shrinking. I healed mine. So healing is what we should be doing. Unfortunately, doctors have no clue what healing is. They only know about poisoning, medication. All medicaments are toxic. So if you have dry eyes, well, take distilled water, put it in there. Even better, colloidal silver. Just spray your eye with it, moisturize it. You don't need medicaments for this. And you have to drink a lot of plasma, go into this cleansing process, and stay in this cleansing process. Load yourself with plasma every day, and let through diarrhea, let cleanse and cleanse and cleanse, and then urination. It's a long-term process, but it is going to heal you. The worst is when we are so dehydrated that collagen fibers show up, which we call the fibrosis. But then in different organs, we call it different. So in eye, we call it cataracts. It's nothing more than eye lens fibrosis due to dehydration on a cellular level. So once when that happens, it's very difficult to heal this. You can have a plant, and as it dehydrates, you can see the leaves getting soggy. They start shrinking a little bit. They drop down. You start hydrating, it all grows up. But if it dehydrates to the point that it changes color and becomes brown, in our case white, well, it is basically dead. You cannot rehydrate it anymore. Why wait? Well, we are waiting because we don't know better, because our specialists We doctors that are trained, we are being misled. We are trained into poisoning people, not into healing them. So it's time to wake up. And I urge everybody, yeah, you can go to doctor to have diagnosis made if you really want diagnosis, which is completely unnecessary. Because once when you're diagnosed, so what? Then you are stuck with that moron that is incapable of rational thinking, because it basically really regurgitates the great knowledge it has been given in medical school, which is nothing more than a bunch of lies. So, you want to heal? Get away from doctor. Go to jungle, look at the medicine man. Go to native Indian tribe over there in the United States. Because they know way more, they at least know that you have to purge first. You have to detoxify. Allopathic doctors have no idea what that means. Okay, so body can heal everything, with exception when it gets to the fibrotic state. Again, people say, well, I have a cataract, can I heal it? Well, you can definitely stop the progress of it, and it depends how far did it go, and then again, how many years it will take to recover from this. Normally, I would say, yeah, well, if you have a cataract, you cannot see through the eye, you got to change the eye lens, because the hydration, it will take forever. You may not live that long to heal in this state already. But when it started, when you just start seeing that in a darker place you cannot see well because not enough light penetrates, so you need to put more light, which means already stuff is happening. Well, if you start hydrating at that time, bingo, you recover. Don't allow it to go further, especially not with medication. And if you are using eye lenses or contacts are better. But if you take eye lenses, don't wear them when you don't absolutely need them. If you need to read something and you absolutely cannot see it and you need, okay, read it and then get them off. Because they will make your brain lazy. They will increase your problem. So, you have eye problems? Self-healer's protocol. Hydrate, cleanse, correct your diet so you can hydrate on cellular level. Stop with veggies. Go to your animal-based products. Your dairy, your eggs, and meat from worm to elephant, whatever is available. And eat it raw or as raw as possible. This ensures you that you are getting plenty minerals, because meat, animals without minerals cannot survive, so this is why carnivore does not have to supplement with salts, because meat and the blood contain all the minerals the animal needs, which is not the case with plants, especially the hydroponic ones. So we gotta wake up to the truth. If you need help, I'm available, although with eyes, again, Don't expect miracle that happens overnight. It took a long time to get there. It will take a long time to clear, but it will clear up. Thank you for listening. Till next time. Love you all.